Today's session is another video interview with a fellow online service provider. Make sure to watch with full attention because what she's about to share with us is so valuable and something we all need to hear. Plus, she will be sharing with us important strategies when it comes to creating content for brands. Hello outstanding people, this is Connie Zabala and I'm here to help you get your time freedom back. In this channel, you will learn tips, tools, training, and video interviews like this one about the virtual assistant industry. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so yet and click the bell to get notifications as soon as I publish videos. We will be interviewing someone today, and let me share with you some things about her. She used to be a command instructor and also worked in a corporate setting. Now, she's a busy mom who blogs, manages her groups, events, and she has her team. We will learn great things from her today because she shared with us so many golden nuggets plus 3 important tips of content strategy for brands that beginners should take note of.
Let us all welcome Herlene Somook. Hi.
Hey everyone. Hi.
Thank
Good morning,
you for-
good evening, good afternoon.
Yes, of course. Thank you for spending time with me. Now, let's go ahead with the question. So, tell us your short story. What were you doing before you switched to the freelancing world?
Well, actually, I was a call center representative. So I worked for 5 years in the BPO industry. I worked as an inbound sales specialist, and then I also worked as a technical advisor. And the last job that I had was an outbound service representative. So basically what we do is invite people to like webinars and events for different technology partners. And that's how I learned to speak like this.
Yeah, I know the call center.
Yeah. The swag.
What were your struggles when you were just transitioning from freelancing?
Well, first of all, I didn't really resign from work just because the reason why I resigned was to take care of my baby. So, for those who don't know, my first baby didn't live long. So, she only lived for like a day. So, the next time I got pregnant, my priority was really to like focus on the baby. And at that time, although I was happy with the work that I do, I felt like it wasn't serving my purpose. I felt like I needed to do something else. So I went through like this quarter life crisis where I asked myself what I needed to do next. So I went back to teaching. I went back to I tried being an entrepreneur, a food entrepreneur. So I started cooking and selling stuff in my husband's office. And then it was really a friend who introduced me to freelancing. And I guess the biggest change that I needed, like the biggest problem that I had was with the mindset. Because at that time, I started freelancing in 2014. So that was a long time ago, thinking of it right now. But the real challenge was the discipline and the mindset that was required of you when you start freelancing. Because when you're in a corporate world, you had like bosses, you had like managers who would look over your shoulder and take a look at what you're doing. But with freelancing or when you're working from home, everything is going to be, you're going to do everything by yourself. So Google will be your best friend. So the discipline was a challenge because I had a different work ethic with my last job. And then there's the mindset. So when you're in corporate, you feel like there's always someone you can ask. But when you're in the freelancing world or when you're working from home, you kind of have to have a different mindset. Like you need to treat this as a business. It's like your own business. You're running your own business. And it wouldn't work if you feel like you still have someone as your boss. So that's the biggest shift that I needed to do.
Okay. So how long did it take for you to say that this is something that you really want to do?
Oh my God. Basically, it took like a year for me to decide because I'm a content writer. Technically, my title is a content strategist, but for you to be a content strategist, you have to be a writer first. So you need to understand the process before you can like create strategies for somebody else. So it took me quite a while because I worked with the first project I had was with a Kickstarter project, and I worked as like an email support. So technically the title was customer service, but basically they had us do whatever was needed. So it took me a while. It took me a lot of failures to go into content writing. So I there was this, because I worked in logistics and I hated math. I hated math, and the numbers were confusing for me, and it wasn't really a good time. So it was a huge mistake on my part, but I felt like I made the choice because I was forced to. My client that time was asking me what I wanted to do, so I gave like a day of my time to really think about what I was doing well, what I love to do, and what I didn't want to do. So from that point onwards, I decided like I'm good with people. I like creating stories because I used to write when I was in college. So why don't I give it a shot? So that's how it started, basically.
Since you already shared that you're into writing, can you share us your very first client as a writer?
Yeah, actually, it's funny because as I mentioned, I was an email support. So at that time, they were asking us to do like responses, because my first project was a Kickstarter project. For those who don't know, Kickstarter is like a startup for businesses. So way back 2014, it was pretty much unknown in the Philippines, but worldwide, like tech geeks or people who are into like startups were already supporting entrepreneurs in Kickstarter. So my first project was lightweight shoes. So these are shoes made of paper, Tyvek to be exact. And my role was technically because I didn't know anything about freelancing then. So my role was mostly creating like responses, canned responses for tickets. I also did social media, so I did like Pinterest, and I created like the descriptions for that. But it wasn't until my client then asked us to write copy for another Kickstarter project that he was having. So it was like a wearable. Yeah. So it was like a movement tracker. That time Fitbit was really big. It was like selling for $90 or so. But our product was available for $14. So that was my real first paid gig, because what I did was like write the press release. I also did the manual. Imagine that. I wrote a manual for a wearable. So it was funny reading like the comments and everything, like, who wrote this? And I was like, oh, I wrote it. So basically that's my first, that was my first writing gig, and I still keep the small man. I can't read everything, but it's so small, but technically that's how it started. And then I got introduced to the client's friend. So that time it was like for us, it's like workshops, like Manila workshops. My job then was to create like this description of like the summary for who the speaker was, what's the topic about, and then like the bullets of what's going to be discussed. But in the freelancing business, you have to be very creative when it comes to projects. So I kind of pitched this idea to my then client, because I was working part-time for him that time. So I pitched a newsletter for him. So I was like, why don't we create a newsletter for entrepreneurs? Like, pull something like a 5-tip thing that would give them ideas, like for books, podcasts to listen to. And good thing was this client had a long list of emails. So he's kind of an influencer in the country, so he had lots of members, and that's how it started. So people started liking the newsletter that came out, and people got interested, like businesses got interested into getting content from us, and that's how it started. So basically, that's how it started as a content writer, as a blogger, and as a content strategist.
Okay. So, do you think it's really important for us to have an ideal client, and why?
Yes, definitely. It's a must for every freelancer. Actually, it can be difficult, but it is a must because when you choose an ideal client, it helps you decide who to work with. First of all, it gives you like this confidence, like the mindset that makes other people successful or other freelancers successful is that you choose your own clients, because you don't get to work with everyone. There's only one, like it would be best for you to decide which ideal client to go to, because it will give you like the direction where to take, where you want to go, the topics that you want to know more about. Because if you just get clients from everywhere, yeah, sure, you can get expertise in like what you do, but when it comes to the topic, like the depth of the discussions, especially if you're a writer, the more you get to know about a topic, or the more you get to know about the market, the better you are at explaining stuff or writing about stuff. So that's one huge thing of getting an ideal client and getting into an ideal market. Another thing is you also need to know what level your clients are so that you can serve them better. Even our clients have different levels. Like there are those who are just starting out. There are those who already have established their business but would like to scale up. And then there are those who want to like keep the business running. And for every stage, there's a specific skill that you need. Like for example, if you're going to work with like, let's say a business coach and he's just starting out, as an expert, you get to tell him what works and what doesn't. And then if you're working with someone who's already established the business, you get to see what works for her, and then you get to improve on that process. Or you get to see how your expertise can also like get her more sales, or get him more sales, or something like that. So that's basically why you need to niche down. That's why you need to like create your ideal clients, because it will help you identify the kind of skill that you want to do. Also, identify the purpose of what you're doing, and also identify like the key performance indices for yourself, like how much you want to earn, and like if this is in line with your values as a person, as a freelancer. So those are I think those pretty simple. The reasons I have are pretty simple, but very basic. But if you decide to focus on those things, this will be like a game changer for how you do business as a freelancer.
So for the viewers out there, I hope you're taking down notes, because those are really wonderful tips. And just a follow-up question, since you said that it's important to have an ideal client, can you share a little about your ideal client and why did you choose them?
Right now, I'm working with business coaches and transformational coaches because I know their worth. So it resonates with my purpose as a writer and as a content strategist. So must-haves for my ideal client, that would be high selling tickets. So I would prefer someone who already has an established business. So if they have a funnel, that will be awesome. And another thing is that they should have like an idea they've already verified their clients' pain points. So it's easier for me to create like topics to be discussed, and also create like the best topics to be discussed according to the buckets, according to their diet surveys. And another thing, or the last thing, is that what they do should be transforming life. Let me rephrase that. So I prefer helping coaches who help others, like creating better lives, creating better habits, or creating a better business. So those are the things those are the standards that I have when choosing the right clients.
Since you started freelancing, do you ever had a fixed schedule or your schedule is more flexible?
I think it's not mainly about the fixed time of working. It's more of like the results. So as a content writer, as a content strategist, I think that you would need to know the hours that are most productive for you. Like if you work better at night, then do your work at night. If you need to like work out before working, I think you should be focusing on the results. The question is, do you have a fixed schedule? I try to, especially right now with the pandemic and everything. So before I used to have fixed schedule at work. Like the contracts that I had fixed schedules because I was working as a customer service representative. But when I transitioned into writing, I didn't have that kind of a stricter schedule. Instead, the schedule that I created for myself works around like the habits that I wanted to form. Like if I wanted to wake up earlier, I would sleep earlier and then do the work in the morning. But right now it's different. So since you have to schedule like going out and everything, it's a bit stressful, but it's much better to keep a schedule instead of thinking of whether it's going to be a fixed contract or not. So basically what I'm trying to say, I've been running around in circles, but the thing is, I would suggest that you focus on the results, not the schedule, especially when you're getting contracts. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. And you
Okay.
explain it well.
Okay, good to know.
Yes. So what is your biggest blessing since you started working from home?
The biggest blessing that I think I gained when I started freelancing was first the mindset. I had a huge shift in mindset when it comes to my value as a person, my value as a mom, and my value as a freelancer. And a whole part of that is the gratitude. So my biggest blessing would be the mindset and the gratitude or the attitude of gratitude that I'm thankful for every blessing that comes in my way. That's one of the biggest. And then the next one is finding the right tribe, finding the right people that I call my friends. So I'm so glad that I belong to a community. I belong to a group where my growth is as important as theirs. And yeah, I have the right people to support me. And then, of course, there's the finance. So I'm better off now compared to like when I was working in corporate. And the best thing about it is that I also get to help other people with the blessings that I'm receiving. So as I was telling you earlier, I had this quarter life crisis when I was working in corporate. And I feel like when I shifted into freelancing, it's become a platform, a venue where I can also share my skills, the lessons that I've learned. And I think that's the biggest blessing of all. Money can be earned. Money can be, of course, money is important, right? But, it's becoming an instrument of change for other people besides myself.
If you are to look back to your younger self when you were just starting, what would you say to her?
Oh my God, don't waste your time. Like, read, girl. Because when I was younger, like when I was young, like a kid, I was so passionate about reading. Like, I would prefer trips to like National Bookstore instead of like the usual clothes section. So that's how much I love reading. So I kind of lost that habit when I got into the call center business. I'm not sure. It's we all go through that phase, but yeah, that would be the biggest thing. So just go back to reading, girl.
Yeah. So since you already have people under you, perhaps you have a VA or another freelancer, what made you decide to expand?
Well, the expansion came as necessity because actually this is my second group, if you're counting, because I already ran a content agency way back in 2017, but at the time I was also learning. So it was the time where I started writing as a profession. I was also learning about SEO and everything in the business, like the website, the WordPress management and all that. And because we took in a lot of clients, I also had to take in writers. So it was a learning experience for me. And I lost that team, unfortunately, because of so many reasons. But right now, it's also the same things. I'm going through the same process. I'm getting more clients, and I also need to duplicate myself. And that's why I'm forming a team.
All right. Do you have any minimum requirements, or what should be the character of your team members?
My God, I was just interviewing people earlier. Yeah, skill is important, but I think attitude is much more important. I need someone who knows how to listen and get feedback and process feedback right away. I need someone who is thick-skinned because, it can't be, like, people are easily offended right now. So I need someone who can take it. I always tell this to my team members, like, I love you, but when it comes to the job, I'm going to be as strict. As an editor, if you're working with content, you need to constantly edit your work. So that means that you have to repeat it until it's what's required. I can't say perfect because nothing is, but I don't stop unless we get to that point where everything is good. So I'm very strict with editing. So I need someone who knows how to listen, who's also humble. Humility is a character that not everyone has. Things, if you're becoming successful, if you're becoming good at what you do, it's a bit difficult to be humble. So actually, that's a basic requirements: attitude, humility, like open to suggestions, and yeah, of course there should be skill, but attitude is priority.
All right. So that is the end for our formal interview. So Herlene, or what we call her, Miss H, will share with us some tips for content creation for brands. So, Miss H, are you ready?
Sure.
All right, so sure, take it away.
Okay, so when it comes to content strategy, you need to have at least a foundation, like 3 things that you need to consider. First is to set relevant goals. Why is this? Because we always talk about like SMART goals, right? I forgot the meaning of the acronym, but I think one of the biggest mistakes that people or writers do when it comes to content is creating content that's not relevant to their purpose and not as relevant to the audience. And that's why it doesn't really resonate with them. So make sure, how do you do this? First is for you to understand the audience. So make sure that you understand what your audience needs, what their key points are. You always hear this, but that's the most important, because if you can't connect to your audience, then you're not going to get the same results. Second is always come from a place of help. So make sure that when you're creating content, it's valuable to the audience. So it not only resonates, but it also gives them answers to the questions that they have. Make sure that you also include the emotional benefits. So what are these emotional benefits? Instead of just pinpointing like features, because if you're going to talk to someone and sell them stuff, you don't want it to be talking about features. You talk about how these products or how these services get to answer their challenges. Like if your content, let's say if you're selling an electric pot, of all the examples, an electric pot. We know that the purpose of an electric pot is to heat water, but an electric pot can translate into different things for different people. For a mom, it can be like a quick fix for getting the bottles done or getting coffee early in the morning. For like a dad, it can be fresh coffee in the morning. It can be like fixer-upper whenever he's too tired or something. For kids, it can be, or college kids, it can be in a quick meal, like an electric pot. Technically, it just boils water, but you see the difference there? So make sure that when you're creating content, you're coming from a place of help, because only then will you be able to see what the impact of the products or services that you are creating is for the people that you're targeting. And then third, make sure that you speak the language that people are speaking. So if you're talking to someone who is a teenager, you would probably use big words, right? But if you are talking to like a professional, that means that you have to have a professional tone. If your content is supposed to be fun, then you should be using languages that are fun, that can relate to the audience. So it all boils down to knowing who your audience are, knowing the psyche behind their main points, and creating a connection with them. So those are the three things that will help you create like intuitive content. When I say intuitive, that it comes so naturally with you because you know how to communicate with your audience.
Thank you so much for those valuable tips. So speaking of value, if you're getting value out of this video, make sure to click the like icon. So we're here on the last part of this video interview, which I call fast Q&A. So you just have to choose A or B, none or both. All right?
Okay.
These are just fun questions, not really serious. So are you ready?
I'm nervous, but yeah, okay.
So first question, dog or cat?
Cat!
Alright, second question, diet or exercise?
Exercise.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
YouTube or Facebook?
Facebook.
Old school notebook or online journal?
Old school notebook.
Music or podcast?
Music.
iOS or Android?
iOS.
Windows or Mac?
Windows.
Ebook or hard copy?
Hard copy forever.
Early bird or night owl?
Gosh, early bird. I'm a night owl, so I try to, make a switch.
Okay, so that will be the end of the fast Q&A. What would be your last piece of advice for those who are just starting in the online freelancing world?
Yeah, probably just stick it out. It's going to be worth it in the end. It's going to be difficult at first, but if you really set your heart into it, if you find a purpose, and you will find a way, it's going to be worth it.
Alright. If there are people who want to get in touch with you, or if you have something to promote, share it with us.
Sure. Actually, I'm a blogger, so you can also visit my blog at Home-Based Mama. That's HOMEBASEDMOMMA.com. That's my personal blog. And then I also have a writing group. It's called Intuitive Content Writing for Business. So you can just search it on Facebook. And then you can also like my Facebook page. It's Home-Based Mama, or WHAM. So I haven't changed it yet because Facebook won't let me. And then you can also go to our page, Creative Labs PH, for digital marketing tips. And then you can also find me on YouTube. So that's Home-Based Mama, and Instagram. Home-Based Mama. It's the same thing. That's my ID.
For the viewers out there, share with us what is your biggest takeaway during this video interview, and share them in the comment section below. So thank you, Miss H. Thank you.
You're
so
welcome. And thank you also for inviting me over. It's been fun.
You're get in touch with you.
Inamit ako, sorry. Wait.